Patriots, welcome. Welcome to this, our Friday evening music cow. Ladies and gentlemen, Alice at 8, don't be late, even though it's 7. What am I talking about? I have no idea. Tonight, I wear my cap from 2020. And I want to remind you of a couple of things, my friends, before we get going. First of all, this is not about Trump. Trump merely is the candidate who best expresses that which we need, which we demand for a continuation and preservation of our country, of our republic. Does that make any sense to you? I hope it does. I hope it does. Let me say this again. When people say Trump is this, Trump is that, no. Maybe it's different for you. This is not about Trump the man, though he embodies the ideology. This is about a new direction. This is about trying to save our beloved republic, not our democracy, but our republic. My friend, so many times we use the wrong words. There's this overwhelming, this avalanche as of late regarding fascism. And they're saying that he is a fascist and that Trump is a fascist. And they're using the word fascism. And if you ask somebody, could you please, I'll give you $5 if you can even approximate roughly the definition of what fascism is, they couldn't tell you. What is it? Does it mean, what does it mean? Is it left or it's right? Let us stop with the labels. Let us stop with the labels. And let us stop looking at every little thing. Well, Ohio's up by 2 points. Well, early voting in Virginia, that bores me to no end. I know it's important. I want to talk about bigger things. I want to talk about bigger things with you tonight, about how I envision a new America with a new appreciation. We're not going to completely push everybody out. We do need, believe it or not, people who disagree with us to better define our particular way of thinking. But before we begin, let me first of all ask you and thank you so much. Let me remind you that tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night, Saturday night, it's it at the cutting room. And I have been just sitting back and thinking of just fine tuning that which we are going to discuss. Think of it as a rally. Think of it as a rally that precedes the Madison Square Garden rally, which of course they're now likening to Nazism and the like. We'll talk about that in a moment. But that's tomorrow night. Tickets are available in the description section for the cutting room. This is not stand-up comedy. I hate stand-up comedy, especially when you walk in and you see an act and then you go out and you see the same act. And if you've ever heard two acts back to back, it's exactly the same act, the same pauses, the same everything. I don't do that. The moment defines it. Yes, we have a loose parameter of what we're going to talk about, but then we have these things which are written on these little 3x5 cards in which you write your notes and pass them in, and we stop and we take them. Who does that? Nobody does this. It's fun. We do sing-alongs, some gut bucket. I do it the way I want to do it. I don't care what it's called. Stand up. That's up to you. I have no earthly idea. I don't care about that. Let me also say, my friends, as you know, we're getting to the end of the month. Please get your orders in now because the deals are locked in. And now it's time for you to go to preparewithlionel.com. I don't have to explain to you the necessity of preparing for a disaster. You're not a fool. You're not an idiot. You know exactly the necessity of preparing for disaster. You're funny that way. You're very, very smart. So preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. Right now, there's a 3-month duty. Just go and check for yourself, but please hurry up. The deals, they lock in, they change, and then I don't know, from one day to the next. This is simply the best there is. Preparewithlionel.com. Hurry. Start building your bulwark against disaster, because disaster is going to hit. Now let's get back down to brass tacks, ladies and gentlemen. Now, today was a big deal. Dale. It was a big deal. I don't know what a big deal means. I have no idea what it means. It's a big day. And lo and behold, we had this incredible event, which I did not see or hear. Did any of you hear or see the what am I trying to say? Did any of you see the or hear the Joe Rogan Trump speak interview? I did not hear it. Did any of you hear this? Did any of you hear this? Did any of you? I don't know. It was supposedly today. I know it was a big deal. I didn't hear any of it. Did any of you? It's not posted yet. Thank you, Rachel. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Rachel Burns. Rachel Burns, by the way, who says it's not posted yet. Thank you, Rachel. Rachel Burns. Well, Rachel, there's ointment for that. I'm sure you get that terrible joke all the time. Okay. I hope the president did a good job. I know that there was some talk of whether Kamala was being offered. She can't do that. I wish people would stop lying to me. I wish they would say, of course she didn't go on jail. She can't even answer a question from somebody who's her friend at a network where we gave him the question. And you expect her to go on the Joe Rogan show? What the hell's the matter with you? Wouldn't you love that one time? Wouldn't you vote for somebody who was honest? What if she said, listen, I'm a terrible speaker. I'm a terrible speaker. I'm a good, president, but I'm awful. I'm telling you right now, you can forget the debates. And the reason why I'm terrible is not because I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm terrible. I'm just a very, very terrible speaker. I'm bad. I'm a bad speaker. Somebody might say, you know what? I'm kind of bad too. I don't like speaking in public. I wish I was. My weakness, that's my weakness. You would think she would say that, wouldn't you? Wouldn't that be endearing in a weird way? Wouldn't you say like, wow, I can kind of dig that. The number one learned human fear. What is it, my friend? The number one learned human fear, swallowing hair. But second up to that, of course, is speaking in public. It makes people freak out. Some people would rather drink bleach than speak. Wouldn't that be something? It would be wonderful. But she didn't do this. But let's go back. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, at the Uncle Lenny School of Critical Thinking, we don't worry about names. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you call. What difference does it make? Is this fascism? Is this anarcho-syndicalism? Is this like, please stop it? It's like we hear this all the time in music. Is this country music? Would you call this bluegrass, or would you call it, well, bluegrass maybe? It's more of a regional, kind of like Americana meets. And next thing you know, we're not even listening to the music. We're trying to define it. Does it matter? Can you define fascism? Can you define fascism? Do you know what fascism means? Does fascism have anything to do with the deprivation of rights of individuals? No. No. If you live in a communist economic plan, if you live in a planned economy, if you live in a communist world, does that necessarily mean that you have no freedom of speech, that you have no freedom of expression? No. Is that a bulwark of communism? No. It just so happens that those individuals who have tried to theoretically approach, because remember, communism is an ideal, it's an ideal, but those who have tried to approximate it oftentimes were rather draconian and totalitarian. The same thing goes for capitalist societies. What would you think? Haiti, Guatemala. You think this is socialism? No, absolutely not. So let's forget the names, okay? And especially communism. You want to talk about Gentile? You want to talk about the March on Rome? Come on. Mussolini, fascisti. It's a word people use who don't know any better. Well, let me tell you this one that's going on. And this is, by the way, Crypto Domini says, socialism, fascism, Marxism, communism, there is a shadow government. That's all I care about. You're right about that. I really cannot impart upon you to not worry about what the name of this is. It doesn't matter. Does it matter whether you were imprisoned because of a misdemeanor or a felony? Well, it does in terms of the long term, but you're locked up. You're not less locked up if it's an administrative infraction versus you're locked up. You can't leave. Do you understand what's happening? Yes, you do. Now let's talk about this. Hillary Clinton, who was on with that absolute funja face, This Kristen Clark, or Kristen Clark, or whatever her name is, from CNN. She always has that look, the mouth and the eyebrow. She doesn't move, and she looks like she's just miserable. I played it this morning. We heard Hillary Clinton talk about the fact that this event at Madison Square Garden, which, by the way, the Trump team asked me, do you mind if we come into New York? I said, no. I said, but you have to do it on Sunday at the Garden because I'm going to be at the cutting room on Saturday. They said, okay. President Trump said, fine. Wouldn't have it any other way. Just want to let you know. So there was a suggestion that in 1939 there was a meeting of a kind of a Bund meeting of a Nazi meeting, some conflagration of sorts. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelly McKinnon says, Mr. Ellis, so sorry I won't be able to see you at the cutting room. It sounds so fun. Have a blast. Thank you. It will be. I'm getting my tux ready. I'm just ready to go. It's a very big night. Thank you, dear heart, for your kindness. The Garden, 33rd and 8th, whatever, it's right there. It is the prominent place where everything is, and it's held. It's held since 1968, I believe. This location, because it was on 8th Avenue in the old days, right where World Plaza is. It was there, and then it's at this where Penn Station is, and it's a different place altogether. So. It's held so far 2 popes, Sinatra, Billy Joel, the Republican National Convention, the Democrat National Convention, Muhammad Ali. It happens to be a place that has held everybody, from Pope John Paul, Bergoglio, everybody. I mean, Sinatra, every group, the Stones. Everybody plays the Garden. And what's interesting too is it's in the floor is in this kind of a weird suspension. It's very unimpressive inside, very unimpressive, but it kind of bounces. You feel there's a weird kind of thing. There's a weird vibe there. So Hillary Clinton came on and she said, this is basically Trump reiterating, approximating what amounts to be basically his version of Nazism. Well, a fellow who knows a little bit about the subject had this rebuttal to that idea.
My name is Jerry Wartsky. I'm 94 years old and survivor of Auschwitz and the Death Marches. Adolf Hitler invaded Poland when I was 9 years old. He murdered my parents and most of our family. I know more about Hitler than Kamala will ever know in 1,000 lifetimes. For her to accuse President Trump of being like Hitler is the worst thing I've ever heard in my 75 years living in the United States. I know President Trump, and he would never say this, and Kamala Harris knows this. She owes my parents and everybody else who was murdered by Hitler an apology for repeating this lie.
Why should the Jewish people support President Trump?
Because he's a mensch. I believe that President Trump is definitely going to be good for Israel, because in everything that he's done up to now was in favor. He never double-crossed anyone, and he never showed any weakness. Watching President Trump pray for the hostages at the Ohel and getting to spend time with him so meaningful. He has always stood with the Jewish people and the state of Israel.
Now, let me explain something to you. What do you think she would say to that? What do you think she would say to that? Now, before anybody gets too much into the thing about Israel, I like the way he says President Trump. I like the way he says it, because I think wasn't the original German name like Drumpf or something? But in any event, it doesn't really matter. From this man's point of view, Nazism, Israel, Jewish, I'm not going to argue with him. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, should we perhaps want to talk about the Nakba? No, the point is, what do you think Hillary, who was just reading a script, would say to him? What? What do you think would be her response? Do you think that Hitlerian horrors will not be seen again? Absolutely. This can happen again. And one could argue it is happening all around the world. So just keep that in mind. Now, let me tell you something else which I want you to understand. My friends, I want people to come forward. Remember, I mentioned this today. What I would like to do is I would like to have this wonderful, wonderful world of, what you want to call it? Think of it as a summer camp where people come with their parents and we teach you how to critically think. I give no information, left or right, Democrats, Republicans, I don't know. Because the word Democrat and Republican changes over time. As you know this, there was a time when Democrats and Republicans were different. There was a time when the Democrats were the ones fighting for what I believed in: anti-war, pro-civil rights, pro-women's rights, they stood for something. And then, I don't know what happened. Somebody did a do-si-do, and that was it. There was a time then when, think about this, I don't know who did more to kill more people in Vietnam. Was it Nixon? Probably not, because he wanted to stop the war, but LBJ. And then you have JFK, who was basically this guy was as conservative as you can get. Somehow he was made out to be some liberal when it came to civil rights affecting black people. LBJ couldn't be beat. But I know of people who worked who were in his presence. He dropped the N-word like you couldn't believe. But so you see where nothing fits in these labels? It's grays. You said this, but he did more. I know people who would never deign to use the N-word, but have contempt for black people. They've never done, but they'll never say that word. Then other people who, by virtue of their Southern heritage or parentage or whatever it is, to them the word means nothing, and they've done more. Life is like that, my friends. Love seeing you on Sean Atwood, Lionel. Thank you, Deb Kemp. Did you see our friend, Mr. the Tippler? The man, what's his name? Steeples or whatever his name was, who was gassed out of his mind. You see this? What was that about? What was that about? It was one of the best ones ever. In any event. Now, my friends, listen to me and listen carefully. Part of what I want you to understand is there are people in the world who deny events that occurred. When we came along, and I came along specifically, my breed came along roughly 2001, during that terrible period of time, on the 11th day of the 9th month, 23 years ago. This is when the word conspiracy theorist really kicked in. Oh, it was there for a while. Leslie Watson, thank you. Thank you so much. There was a, by the way, are we having troll problems, dare I say? Are we? Let me know. Let me know. I appreciate this. Who is the troll? Let us, I normally don't like to do this, but if there's somebody who is bothering us, if there's somebody who is doing anything, if there's somebody, just let us know. Okay? That's all. Lionel, give me the keys. Thank you so much. All right, my friends. Just let me know. Fact check. Is this the problem? Is this the fact? Is this fact check? Shall we go back? I wasn't really paying attention. But let me see what this was. Where pray tell would let me see what Mr. Fact check. I personally don't. Okay, here we go. I voted 3 times this election as an immigrant. I love to protect my rights. If you are a newcomer, demand the right to vote. Harris Walls, vote out racist orange clown. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that won't be a problem. Now, let's move. As you know, a while back, there was a time. Do you remember the first time you heard about Bohemian Grove? Do you remember that? Do you remember that, dear friends? Do you remember about something being called Bohemian Grove? And I remember the time telling people about this. This was an organization which was, oh my God, Bohemian Grove. It was Grove. I think it was in Bohemian Grove. It was, I think it was founded in 1878. It's a gentleman's club. It was, it's been around forever, and every president since the beginning of time. Remember this one? Everybody went. There were pictures of Reagan and Nixon, and I believe our friend Alex Jones actually infiltrated Bohemian Grove at one particular point and took pictures of this. I guess it was this owl or something to that matter. It was fascinating. Did you see that? It was an incredible thing. Well, people said, you know what? You people, hang on a minute, let me go back to where it was. Yes. People said, there's no such thing as Bohemian Grove. I said, no, there is such a thing. No, there's not. What do you mean? No, there's no such thing. CR, look at this. Is this beautiful? Is this beautiful? CR, thank you so much for that. We'll be streaming the Saturday night show from New York. Thank you. Interesting. You should check with me first, but that's okay, by gum. In any event, ladies and gentlemen, for the longest time, people said, you know, Bohemian Grove just doesn't exist. Going back, we ran across this little piece, which is, I think, fascinating.
Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger canceled plans to go to Bohemian Grove in California this weekend because of the possibility of more flare-ups in the Lebanon crisis. But even without the Defense Secretary, the Bohemian Grove will not close down for lack of power. What is the Bohemian Grove? Well, it's a kind of summer camp for the powerful, an all-male gathering in great secrecy. More from Dennis Murphy.
George Shultz, Henry Kissinger, and West German Chancellor Schmidt arrived by car.
Can you believe, by the way, can you believe this going on now? Remember when Alex Jones and, who was it, Jim Mars? They would camp out at the, how do I say this? They would camp out at the, Bilderberg meeting. Jim Mars, or not, was that his name? Anyway, and they said, this is the most incredible thing in the world. They said, these people are meeting, and they said, there's no such thing as Bilderberg. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. And then later on, they said there was, and they would actually put it out on a website and let people know the whole thing. Jim Tucker, yes, Jim Tucker, he was amazing. And Alex Jones brought it to our attention. Groups of people, members of the American political structures, meeting sometimes in violation of the Logan Act. Don't you think it's interesting?
The chairman of General Motors and U.S. Steel came in by private jet.
If you would look at the guest list over a period of 5 years, I don't think there would be anybody of any importance in America who was missing from that list.
Cabinet officers and captains of industry are going to summer camp at Bohemian Grove, an all-male retreat secluded in the Redwood Forest 2 hours north of San Francisco. Outsiders are not invited. What's hidden away is a little bit of Boy Scout camp and a lot of fraternity hokum. There are rituals, bonfires, and the burning of effigies. The members live in lodges with names like Wolf and Caveman. Gerald Ford, Henry Kissinger, William French Smith, and George Shultz are bunkmates at Mandalay Camp. President Reagan's camp, Owl's Nest, is famous for its Eggs Benedict and Ramos Gin Fizz breakfast. But for the most part, stories about what happens in these redwoods are hard to come by. A campground statue reminds Bohemians to keep their mouths shut about the Grove.
I've heard a lot of good music there. I've met a lot of interesting people, and I look forward to listening to music again.
But there are employees who tell tales out of school.
You know, I mean, half of these guys, you know, from what I can tell, you know, stay loaded or stay bombed, you know, the entire time that they're there. I mean, they stagger into breakfast and stagger out from dinner. But at the same time, you know, they're talking business.
And sometimes those business talks send ripples far beyond the Grove. Sociology professor William Domhoff.
Reagan and Nixon talked at length in 1967 in the Grove to decide who would go first in Republican primaries.
While decision makers are cementing friendships, protesters outside the gate are keeping a vigil. To them, the Bohemian Grove is an all-white, all-male, undemocratic policy-making arm of the government. They want the Bohemians to go home. But summer camp won't end until next week. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, Monterey, California.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Clay Jones confronting David Gergen. Oh, yes, I remember that. Alex Jones, Senator David Gergen, confronted him, and he was furious. And whenever Jones gets caught, he just smiles. Remember when he moved in and confronted Junk Yogurt, and by the way, now Junk he's a liberal or conservative. I don't know how he is. Anyway, but he did this. The point is, you have to ask yourself, why are people in our government meeting secretly in groups? There's something also called the Logan Act, where individual citizens are acting as representatives of countries. Hillary Clinton could have very well been guilty of that. But it's simple. The reason, what I'm trying to tell you is that in our world, we were told for years, you're crazy. Well, if there's no big deal, why is it so secret? Same thing with the Bilderbergs. Why are they meeting? Let me ask you this question. What do you think would happen? Ladies and gentlemen, Evan Webb says, it's a Woodsy the Owl convention. Does anyone think they are not conspiring in some way? Conspiring? Well, I don't know if they're conspiring to do evil, but by virtue of the fact that they're meeting secretly, that's half of it. A confederation of people meeting, whatever, to bring about something that is untoward or what have you. But let me bring this up to you. And what's really interesting about this whole bit, what would happen if you found out, or if anybody found out, that the owners of the NFL were meeting in secret, or that the heads of what used to be movie studios were meeting in secret? Well, they want to know why you're meeting. What are you doing? Why are you there? George Keane, ladies and gentlemen, says, AJ went undercover to Bohemian Grove, exposed it as well. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Alex Jones did this. He went undercover and confronted David Gergen, and he was furious. But if it were any other organization, people would say, okay, why does that fascinate me? Why is that important? The reason why it's important is because it goes to show you yet again that we are right, that we know what's going on, that the government does not do well in the world of secrecy. It's a very, very simple thing. Now, how many of you folks have ever heard, who has not heard of the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab? Who here, be honest, who, and you can say this, never heard of WEF, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab? Is there anyone who honestly could say, bravely admit, I don't know who this is? Most people here know. Most people here know. Absolutely know. You have heard of this. You are well aware of it. The bugs, yes. You will own nothing and like it. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, came this person. Remember this? This person that came out of nowhere. And he would stand up there with his spacesuit and he would do this. Well, let's go back and listen to what this man is saying.
To make some betting with you. When we meet for the 20th, I hope I will have the pleasure still to be invited for the meeting. When we meet for the 20th Governance Summit, you will use the app like Uber but not anymore to call some driver, but automatically guided car, a self-driven car, will come to your hotel or wherever you are and will bring you to the airport. Actually, I had a discussion some months ago with the mayor of Los Angeles, and you know Los Angeles is one of the cities with the heaviest traffic, who told me in 2030 Los Angeles will be private car-driven free.
2030.
This will allow to transform highways into parks and other public spheres.
2030, Agenda 2030. This will be Agenda 2020, Agenda 2030. This is what we've known about. I remember Codex Alimentarius. I remember that one. If you think you're worried about him eating bugs and getting rid of meat and everything, there are people outside. There are outboard organizations as important as, if not more so, than the Senate and the Congress of the United States. JTE says the owls are not what they seem. It's all esoteric. I was watching recently Eyes Wide Shut. This notion of private, secret organizations, masks, demonic. When you bring this up to people, they love to say you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. George Keane says, akin to World Economic Forum is a CFR. If the Lionel Nation, our readers, recommend Manchester's Arms of Krupp to get a historical take on how the shadow government repurposed the German war machine. The Council on Foreign Relations, they used to deny this. And then the next thing you know, we're getting mail. They're on Fifth Avenue. There they are. They love to deny it first. The Mont Pelerin Society. It's not secret, but this is the Austrian school. This is a group of people who meet. There is the governments that you see. Then there is part of the shadow government. And the shadow government is a different story. They oft, cubic for eyes wide shut ending. Well, many people think so. However, I don't believe where all of a sudden somebody came up with some ending at the last minute when all of a sudden. However, nothing at all surprises me. Do you believe that, I know you might think this, but people have suggested that Stanley Kubrick was involved in what people consider to be the moon landing hoax? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me tell you right now, if you spend any amount of time, and I mean any amount of time, going and just using the wonder of YouTube to review the stories and the claims of some of the most incredible accusations and the like, I promise you, you will not believe the discrepancies, the questions, the problems with the story of the moon landing. You cannot believe what people are saying. And when you listen to this, you say to yourself, this doesn't sound far-fetched at all. But when you say that, you are immediately called a lunatic. Now, I'm not an expert enough to climb on it, but let me ask you something. Is there anybody here who believes it would be impossible to pull off a moon hoax? Absolutely not. That's one thing. Let me tell you another thing too, is I like this young man, but I want him to learn how to fine-tune some of his theories and thinkings, if you don't mind. He's very good. I like him a lot, and he does some good stuff, but he needs to maybe polish his delivery. And the reason for that is because he enjoys being himself. And that, of course, is Tucker Carlson. He enjoys being Tucker Carlson. He enjoys telling you things. And who was he speaking with regarding this? Who is making this particular type of kind of odd or unique, off the beaten path kind of news stories interesting? Who? Mr. Rogan. Listen to this. If Tucker's telling the world, don't tell me anything, because I might have told you something. He might have said something because somebody says, wait a minute, I know somebody who wants to speak with him. It's Jerry, or it's whatever it is. This is what you got to be careful about. If it's not true, and he's making it up, but if it is true, he's going to give somebody up.
Terrified.
Okay. Just to give you an idea, I don't really buy it, but it's not far-fetched. Bryn Himura says, why haven't we seen M4BL? Oh, the movement for Black Lives? Seems like when the left backs are to the wall, M4BL is right there. Well, let's stop for a minute. It's very interesting. By the way, that's kind of like a subterranean group as well. First, anybody who gets upset and yells about this is a neophyte. Evan Webb says the photo taken on the moon, temperatures and radiation. See the interviewer of 3 after, how they look and act. Okay, we went to the moon. We very well could have not been to the moon. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this. But what I've seen, very, very plausible. Let me explain something to you. First and foremost, people in the business do not say things. Number one. And let me also explain something. The people that you are going to meet who have the biggest top secret clearance, and top secret means nothing, by the way, but the people who have the 5 name ones, they used to be called Umbra, Zebra, and Ultra, and all this stuff, are people who aren't with governments, who aren't with they don't have a business card. They most probably are involved in some type of corporate function, who might be one of 2 to 3 people who know about something. They don't tell anybody. They don't even hint. You don't even know they know that. And the reason why is that they wouldn't want to compromise or put their family in harm's way. If people know something, see, that's why whenever you watch TV and you see somebody who says, oh, I used to be in the CIA, and in the CIA we did this, and here's how we did this. And well, you might have been in the CIA, but you're nobody that I want to talk to. Because first of all, the people who really do interesting things, they don't have names. They don't go on shows. They don't do anything. The real people who are involved in some really good clandestine stuff are so afraid that somebody might see them and say, wait a minute, that was the guy that we met with. And the person he was with, who I know to be here now, he must have been a spook too. Let's get him. You could be compromising, deals or whatever it is, or organizations, merely by exposing yourself without mentioning names. Somebody sees you. So whenever you see anybody, if you hear of a name, if you know of a name, if they use words like CIA, remember when the NSA was a big deal? There's it's not the CIA. It's not a group. They even suggest it. The really good stuff, the really good clandestine stuff, probably is not as frequent as you think. The people that I want to know are the people in the shadow government who make things happen in ways that you can't imagine. And if you see somebody, if you think Klaus Schwab is running the show, no, because you know who he is. They're putting him out there. He is straight from central casting. Jerome Delafoe says, Cupid is a little boy. Every ancient picture he is. Eros love. There's a reason. Turn. Pilgrim Media says, I was Air Force. If you have a need to know, you know. If you don't, you know nothing. That is very true. Crypto Domini says, here's the conspiracy. What were they doing before the modern conspiracies? Well, there's always been something of this nation since the days of the the Borgias, and there's always been cabals, groups of people who don't want you to know what they're doing. Jonathan Kinder says, nobody wants to talk about all the abductions, eyewitness accounts, crop circles, and all the other phenomena related to UFOs. There is so much information out there. Absolutely. And here's the best part. Lori Cook says, Manafort was on Tucker. He's been through hell. Oh, I know. I saw that. And you can see it in him. You can see it in his face. First and foremost, most important, you're going to meet people, listen to what I'm saying, who are from worlds that love this stuff. And I've met them. I remember years ago, I was very, very, very serious regarding those groups of people who wanted to find out a lot of what's going on regarding the 11th month of the 9th day. Even saying it today causes people to get crazy. And I stopped from any formal organization because the people in there, I think, were not crazy, but too spirited. To CD, check out Webster Tarpley about conspiracy. Oh, you know what? Webster Tarpley, good. He was a good friend of mine. I don't think he cares for me anymore. I think because he doesn't like Trump, and I'm a fascist. And I've had a lot of people do that. A lot of people. I remember one. I'm not going to mention his name, but I absolutely was summarily dismissed because I did not share his passion or anger as to the Palestinian problem. I swear to God. I said, what are you talking about? And he told me, he said, quote, this is a red line in my book. I said, what are you talking about? It's a red line. I said, okay. What does that mean? I guess. I don't know. So, you meet people like this. I'm very calm about it. I love to start off very slowly with, let's talk about this. And understand something. When you say I believe in something, that doesn't mean I think there's probably, I don't know. Whether it's God, UFOs, nothing. One of the great thing about UFOs is I believe that the number of people who have seen things are not making it up. Not everybody, but many of them. And that what they are seeing either is from some other dimension, or they saw some incredible military or experimental production that defied, our way of thinking. That's possible. Laurie says, it's cool. We love you even when you're wrong. I don't know what that means, but that's okay. About what am I wrong? I don't know. But anyway, so people will just, they don't like Tucker really doesn't know how to get into the UFO thing. It's I remember when he was on Fox News, they would always have somebody in graphics do a little flying saucer and a little stuff that just I don't understand. Why are you making this a joke? Why are you doing this? Why? And then there are other people who, have you seen Greer? Oh my God. He is so in love with it. So in love with it. That he builds into it, and they come for good. How do you know they come for good? Who are they? See, I like to just back up and take things piecemeal. Johnny Madison Spaz, a good friend, says, breaking news, according to the German news, or WW, Israel carrying out strikes against military targets in Iran. October distraction, surprise. Well, you knew that was coming, especially in view of this document that was leaked the other day. You do know that this has been said absolutely, positively. Bibi Netanyahu has made it absolutely clear. If he doesn't go, they're going to go all the way. Nothing is going to stop now. Nothing. They are not going to say, okay, that's enough, until all of Palestine is just wiped out. There's nobody there, or it's completely uninhabitable, and people leave. If you don't see that, you're not paying attention. If you don't see that, I'm just telling you, this is a fact. It doesn't mean it's right. I hate to say that. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's a fact. If you can't see what's happening there, you're not paying attention. I want you to go back and listen to this. There was a fellow years ago named Paul Harvey. Paul Harvey used to make more money than anybody in radio. I think Rush Limbaugh may have come along later on, but well, I don't know. At the time, he made more than Howard Stern. I mean, Paul Harvey was incredible. Paul Harvey wrote his own copy. One time we were at WABC, was doing morning drive, and he had been there, I don't know how earlier, working with his wife. I think it's Angel or something, whatever her name is. And he's typing out his stuff. It was like a typewriter. It was really something. So this was a very, very interesting thing. Robert Anton Wilson said, belief is the death of intelligence. Well, also remember, if you had facts, you wouldn't need faith. So this is very interesting. If I were the devil, wow. If I were the devil, wow. I don't know what that means, Lori. I swear to you, I'm not trying to be dumb. I don't know what that means. Are you saying that? Am I saying that? I don't know what that means. If I were the devil, if you were the devil. No. I don't believe that. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, the name of this. Yes. That's what we're going to play. Excuse me. I'm so dumb. Pardon me. It's been a long day. This was it.
That is sure. So he did a thing, God, back in the 60s or 70s, and he equated it to the devil. And maybe it is. Or you could also say it's...
Now, let me tell you something also. Let me explain to you. I thought you were saying you were the devil, Lori, and you are. You're a devil woman. We know it. I know it. We know it. Paul Harvey did this thing about if I were the devil. Okay. I want you to listen to the sound of and that's exactly what we're hearing here. Listen to the fascination, the awe of Joe Rogan. This is why he's so great. When he is fascinated by something, when he is gobsmacked by something, he lets it all out. He doesn't hold back anything. He just, wow, whether it's the Egyptian pyramids or whatever, listen to this.
It's just that. But he did a radio piece on how to destroy America, the social fabric of it.
Wow.
And it's as though somebody just took America, the social fabric of America from the late 60s to today. And the timeline of the things that he said. It's pretty wicked. It's pretty powerful.
Wow. I'm not shocked.
Let me find a better version.
Paul Harvey.
If I were the devil.
Is this the thing?
Yeah.
1965.
If I were the devil. If I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. Wow. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Wow. Until before you knew it,
I love
you'd
that
have to
about
have
Joe.
drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door.
Holy shit.
Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes
Look at
in
Joe.
hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure.
Look at Joe.
In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's
I
doing.
smell an F coming here any moment.
What year was that?
It was 65, but
Holy shit.
1965.
That's amazing. 65. Wow. April 3rd, 1965, Paul.
Don't you love this? By the way, somebody says Israel attacking Iran. Let's see if that's true. Let me see if this is. Let's go to X. See if that's up, my friend. Let me see if we have anything. Oh, Israel started their attack against Iran with explosions reported near the capital of Tehran. And of course, somebody from Fox says, I stand with Israel. Israel is fighting against Iran. Yep, this is going on right now. Are they going to be using that THAAD missiles, that terminal high altitude, in response to months of, this is the IDF official response. Listen to this. In response to months of continuous attacks from the regime in Iran against the state of Israel, right now, the Israel Defense Forces is conducting precise strikes on military targets in Iran. The regime in Iran and its proxies in the region have been relentlessly attacking Israel since October the 7th on 7 fronts, including direct attacks from the Iranian soil. Like every other sovereign country in the world, the state of Israel has a right and duty to respond. Our defensive and offensive capabilities are fully mobilized. We will do whatever necessary to defend the state of Israel and the people of Israel. Let me see. Right now it is Friday. It is no. Tel Aviv. It's, let me see how far. Right now, Israel is 7 hours ahead. Okay. So what's it, 3 a.m.? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Now, of course, what I would say about this is, well, let's discuss it as opposed to react. See, we live in a world of 140 characters, and we must react. Must react. Get ready for this. Get ready for this. This is not going to end good. Or well, I should say, okay? Now, let's do this. In Pennsylvania, as Uncle Lenny's been telling you for the longest time, what have I told you? What scares me the most, what keeps me up at night, pert near, is the idea of stealing the election via ballot. Ballot fraud, not vote fraud, not machine fraud, not precinct fraud, ballot fraud.
Good morning, everyone. District Attorney Heather Adams. On Tuesday afternoon, I was contacted by Krista Miller, who is our Chief Clerk of Elections, regarding potentially fraudulent voter registration applications that had recently been received by her office.
Pennsylvania.
At that time, she informed me that the elections office received approximately 2,500 applications at or near the deadline for registering to vote. While preparing to process these applications, staff noticed that numerous applications appeared to have the same handwriting, were filled out on the same day with unknown signatures, and some were previously registered voters, excuse me, and the signatures on file did not match the signatures on the application. So before I begin to summarize our preliminary findings, I must remind everyone that this is an ongoing investigation, and for that reason, I will be limited in the details that I can provide. Lancaster County detectives began investigating the voter registration applications and immediately found applications that were indeed fraudulent. Indicators of fraud included inaccuracies with the addresses listed on the applications, false personal identification information, as well as false names.
Keep going.
A number of the applications also contained names that did not match the provided Social Security information. In some cases, applications contained correct personal identification information, such as the correct address, correct phone number, date of birth, driver's license number, and Social Security number. But the individuals listed on the applications informed detectives that they did not request the form, they did not complete the form, and verified that the signature on the form was not theirs. At this point, it is believed that the fraudulent voter registrations are connected to a large-scale canvassing operations for voter registrations that date back to June. However, the majority of the applications received are dated August 15th and after. Those canvassing for voter registrations were employed and paid to obtain voter registration applications. The majority of the applications were from residents in the city of Lancaster. However, applications were also received from residents in Columbia.
This is how it's done.
Mount Joy, Akron, Ephrata, Stevens, Strasburg, as well as other locations across Lancaster County. The canvasses themselves took place at various shopping centers, parking lots of grocery stores and businesses, sidewalks, and parks. During this preliminary investigations, detectives were able to verify some of the applications were indeed legitimate. In these instances, the applicant verified that they did provide information to a canvasser. For these applications, we will immediately advise voter registration and that we confirm that they are legitimate requests, and voter registration will process that application. Thus far, of the investigations that we have completed, we have determined that 60% have been fraudulent. That is of the investigations that we've completed. We do have more to do today, and my understanding is that voter registration is still going through the box of 2,500, but should be completed sometime here today.
Now, the good news is at least people are becoming a little bit aware of it. That's exactly right. As Uncle Lenny told you before, there's a lot of ways. It's the ballot. I told you, let's say Angela Creek. I get one. It says Angela Creek. Looks good to me. 123 Main Street. Okay. Angela Creek. Let's record it. Wait a minute. What do you mean? Wait a minute. Wait, what? Run that name. Run the name, yeah. Is there an Angela Creek in Pennsylvania? That's odd. No, there's not. Well, there was one, but she passed away. Or there was an Angela Creek who went to Temple University in 1973, but moved. Huh. Run that name again. How many times does the name Angela Creek come up? Wait a minute. 50 times. 50 different ballots. What about the address? 123 Main Street. What is 123 Main Street? I don't know. Let's do a Google. It's a parking lot. Or the voter roll. Or it's a little tiny, it's not even a structure. Or it's a business. Can't be a business. Or it's an apartment building without a number on it. So this goes all back as undelivered. See, this is the part where you need all this crossing, and that's the easiest thing. What if, I told you, what if in Harrisburg we find out, hey, listen, Jerry, yeah, listen to me. I find out all of the stuff's going out Friday. Let's say months back, all of the absentees are going out Friday. Grab a bunch of them before they make it out, because all they are is, let me get them. Not all of them. Somebody will call up and say, hey, I didn't get a thing. Well, do you want a new one? Press 9. I don't know what the procedure is. But if a few of them are missing, and most of them, a lot of people won't even know they're gone. You need, remember, 7 states, 15 counties. That's it. I could take 1,000 here, 1,000 here, all over the place. Just put them together and just put Kamala, and that's it. Somebody in the supervisor or the voter's office opens it up. Looks good to me. They don't know where it's from. Jonathan says, "Is she the new Sidney Powell?" No, Sidney Powell was a private lawyer. This is it. This is the prosecutor. That's how it's done. It's very simple, very, very low tech. That's how it's done. Very low tech. Do you hear what I'm saying? Very low tech. Wow. Pretty cool, huh? I think so. I think so indeed. Now, here's something which is also terrific. There is this fellow, I don't know what his name is, but he's the guy, he's that dude on, it's a Canadian fella. What's that show? Shark Tank or whatever it was. Watch him absolutely stir up the hornet's nest with this one.
Introduce the concept of the panel tonight. It's going to be a short dissertation, but I want you to think.
The guy on the right, Larry, whatever. So unfunny, not even funny. So unfunny, it's not even funny. Larry Wilmore or whatever his name was. So unfunny. He was they tried to take over after Colbert. And he was so bad, so devoid of funny. But anyway, watch this. This fella on the left is, yeah, there's one more. This is that dude from Shark Tank. I don't know his name. But watch them lose their mind.
I would like you to introduce the concept of the panel tonight. It's going to be a short dissertation, but I want you to think about this because I watched like you did yesterday, and something hit me pretty hard. Only 90 days ago, Pelosi went to Biden and said, you need to step aside, and convinced him to do so. He made the decision, and he did actually ask her, and we've now learned this, is she the right person to drive this home? He questioned that. He could have said, we need to run a process in order for me to make this move. But they decided not to. I don't know who they is. Was it Obama? Was it Pelosi? I don't care who it was. In stock picking, just listen to this analogy. And you may agree, you may not. 88% of managers, because this is the world I live in, cannot beat the S&P year in, year out. So you give them $1,000, the S&P beats them. They can't pick stocks. This is the second time the Democratic Party has circumvented democracy and chose. Yes, it is. Hillary Clinton was chosen, and she had Bruce Springsteen too. And what happened?
By the way, this is also something, and please don't take this the wrong way. Please, I beg you. Uncle Lenny means no harm by this. But there's something that you hear a lot of times in, I don't want to say the inner city, but you see it. This is where everybody starts talking at the same time over everybody else. I'm sorry, it's not what you, but they talk over everybody else. It's the most incredible thing. They talk over each other. And it's so annoying. And it's also, they're being told in their IFBs, say something, get them. Don't let them get away with this.
Happened to her. And now we've chosen.
Kevin, Hillary Clinton won a primary, okay? She won a primary. You may not
Nobody
like
could compete with her, even Bernie Sanders.
She won a primary.
Okay.
First of all, that's the first
thing.
thing.
So did Kamala Harris win a primary?
Listen, we've talked about this before.
What's wrong about talking about it tonight after what you just said?
Do you think that's really what matters to voters?
Right now.
How many Democrats?
Do you think this matters to voters? Do you think voters are smart enough to understand that they're being bamboozled? Do you think that voters are able to recognize the fact that there is a manifest fraudulent notion to this thing. Do you think they notice? So if the voters don't notice, we'll do it anyway. It's only the stuff that we can get away with. Is that what you're saying, honey?
Wish.
Your whole shtick has
Hang
been,
on a second.
let's talk about what matters to voters. Do you really think voters care about the internecine primary
If,
process?
if you're a
of the Democratic
Democrat,
Party?
you sure as hell care today.
I know that you are from Canada, but the primary process.
That's right. I'm
the primary
perfect for this.
process in this
I have no
country
skin in the game
is
other
not
than
in
to
the
get a great
Constitution.
president.
It's not in the Constitution. The political parties can choose however they want to choose their nominee.
Right.
And as long as they meet the legal deadlines in the states where they are on the ballot, they can do it however they want.
There's nothing in the Constitution that says anything about voting. Anything, with the exception of, I think, maybe the 19th Amendment, women can vote, and the another amendment for the age of voting. But there's nothing in there that says whether convicted felons can vote or whether black people at one point, but there's a lot in there. There's nothing in the Constitution that says anything about the Air Force either. So just because something's not in the Constitution doesn't mean that it passes the fairness and equity smell test.
I just want to be transparent. Yes, I was born in Canada, but
December 2023 just handpick somebody.
just to be transparent, I was born in Canada.
It's a Democratic Party process, not a Democratic.
No, but my kids were born and raised in Boston. All my investments in the United States. I want the president, whoever it is, to be a winner.
You're describing something as undemocratic that has absolutely nothing to do with the democratic
And this
process.
is why
They have no idea. They are trying so desperately. And I would have loved to have said, please continue. No, wait. Go ahead. And please record this. Go ahead. Tell me why this is okay again. I want to make sure we have this. Because remember, what you're about to say will be memorialized forever. So go ahead. Continue. Honey. Nelson says, too big to rig, Uncle Lenny. We'll see. Let us hope. Let us hope. They don't care about this. Remember, these folks care about Russian interference and Russians buying a Facebook page. See this? Jerome Delafo says, I'm starting to learn we don't need to worry about dumb millionaires. Trump himself. We need to worry about evil millionaires. I would worry about millionaires if Bernie wasn't one. Interesting. Now, let's talk about this one, too. You know who also, this is the age of vindication. Remember when, I think I told you this a while, but there was a fellow named Norman Finkelstein. This guy was persona non grata like you can't believe. He couldn't get arrested. He was run out of town. He was his both parents were involved, who survived Auschwitz. He dared to challenge Dershowitz for some plagiarism claim, and he was never heard from again. Denied tenure. I mean, it was like a jihad. They went after him. Now he's bigger than ever. It's like time. If you just wait a little bit. Mel Gibson. Remember Mel Gibson? Anti-Semite. He referred to a woman who pulled him because he was drinking too much. He pulled a woman over. He goes, hey, sugar tits. Blake Norman says, got my vote in today. Excellent, Blake. Excellent. There was talk about him being, he referred to a woman, his sugar tits, he referred to her. He also remembered about, he and his father Hutton Gibson were Orthodox Catholics who took great umbrage when I think Vatican II removed the perfidy of the Jews from the Easter rituals. Like, oh my, this guy was hardcore. This is the one who, and if you watch the Passion of the Christ or Good Friday the 13th, it was like almost a snuff film, but people liked it. Very, very good. It was clearly Caiaphas. It was not. It was Caiaphas, not Pilate. It was the Jews. Okay. You got that? They were responsible for the crime, not Pilate. Anyway, I don't want to relitigate this. So he was just called a nut and a drunk and his girlfriend. And he's got anger issues. And he's a weird guy because he did a lot of torture scenes. Well, this was old Mel, I think at LAX, getting off a plane and traveling. And somebody happened to run into him and ask him what he thought about the upcoming election.
In days, what's your thoughts?
Oh man, that's a big question.
What's wrong?
I don't think it's going to surprise anyone who I vote for.
Well, so, I mean, I'm gonna guess. Can we go in? Yeah. I'm gonna guess. Trump. Is that a bad guess?
I think it's a pretty good guess.
Well, what do you think the world will be like in a second term with a President Trump second term? A lot of people
I know what it'll be like if we let her in.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah. Well,
miserable track record, appalling track record, no policies to speak of.
Yeah. And the border, right?
And she's got the IQ of a fence post.
Isn't it grand, ladies and gentlemen? Isn't it grand? Isn't it grand? I'm going to break into Descend into Clowns. It's wonderful. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, my friends, we're going to see what happens with later on. We will peruse the Joe Rogan piece. It remains fascinating. I love this immensely. Let me say to you, to Blake Norman and Jerome Delafose, Nelson A., Jonathan Kiner, we thank you. Lori Cuck. Lori, you were superb. I thought you were saying before, if I were the devil. Anyway, you got me there, young lady. Evan Webb, thank you, sir. Johnny Mazespaz, we love you. George Keene, everybody. Mr. Kiner again. Crypto Domini. Pilgrim Media, Jerome, thank you so much. Social Writer, Brinzen Himura, JTE, Mr. Keene, thank you so much. Evan, thank you. CR, you're the best, dear lady. JT again. Brad Rung, we love you, Braddy. Leslie Watson, Deb Kemp, everyone. Kelly McKinnon, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you immensely. Don't forget, dear friends, what we normally say, can't say it enough. We're approaching the end of the month. The deals, the specials, they change. Get now while they're locked in. This 3-month deal is perfect. Emergency food, water purification, gravity fed, biomass ovens, solar generators, hurricane proof matches, name it, water pouches of water. Just like with kids, with the juice, incredible. Because what they have told you repeatedly was, if you're in trouble, don't come to us. And they love disaster. Thank you for that. And don't forget our great friends, MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. The great Mike Lindell, he's still there kicking and screaming and yelling. He has such a wonderful product. They've been so good to us, and we're good to them. We are loyal to a T. So we thank you. So my friends, tomorrow night, remember, it's important. It's going to be a monster at the Cutting Room. I cannot wait. Got 2 brand new songs. Well, one song kind of revised and a brand new one that it'll kill you. The rhyming is obscene and you'll find it most tasteful and tasty. All right, dear friends. Also, don't forget to follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warrior. She has, wait till you see her stuff on Diddy and also bots and the Yahoo boys. Who? That's exactly right. They're not going to tell you who these people are. To protect your children, digital safety, community creates change. Remember that. Lynn's Warriors. All right, dear friends. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. We're going to do one tomorrow because I'll be a little busy. So morning, we're going to do our live version. Have a great evening. Thank you again for being with us. We love you. Don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Da-da.